Good afternoon. So this year was especially difficult for the administration to select valedictorian. There was quite a few individuals, all of whom were very qualified, all of whom achieved great things while they were at Enderun. But we went ahead and narrowed it down to one individual. Her name is Chiara. Halua. I first met Chiara at freshman year. She's taking my class. And there's something different about her, something that's a bit refreshing. You know, at Enderun, we've always thought that our students should be part of the global community. And I think that you could say Chiara is definitely one of those people. Have you been born in Bahrain? Have you grown up in Dubai? Have you moved to college to the Philippines? Where essentially, I would say she's sort of a stranger in her own home, right? Not having grown up here. But she's done all the things she needs to do. She got great grades, she was always on the D's list, she's graduating magna cum laude. But I think that the practical side of her making the right decisions, she's a doer, right? So that you always say, never confuse motion with action. But Chiara is a person who actually takes action all the time. She's sitting very well. She has multiple job offers waiting for her. The only thing I'm disappointed in her was I've actually offered her many jobs and she's declined my offers in lieu of bigger companies. So we'll still have a chance to work on that. Without further ado, I'd like to present Chiara Halua.
Thank you, Sir Jack, for the warmest introduction. Magandang gabi, Masal Khair, good evening, and welcome to the end of the ceremony where it's time to say goodbye. Yeah. Today actually marks the 10th graduation ceremony of Enderun Colleges. That means for only 10 years have Enderun students ended their time here as students and joined the ranks of the unemployed. Although, I'm confident, not for long. In the last 10 years, Enderun has produced extraordinary professionals, entrepreneurs, and leaders. For 10 years, Enderun alumni have surpassed limitations and blazed the trail ahead and opened doors for us and for those to come. And here now, as the class of 2019, we stand as the Big Ten, and we are challenged to build on the legacy of Enderun greatness. Yikes, no pressure or anything like that, right? And talking about pressure, the task has now fallen onto me as the class valedictorian to give the valedictory, the final word. Well, I don't have the highest GPA in my batch. That honor belongs to Miss Fea Almerañez. I don't even have the highest GPA in my course. That belongs with Miss Diane Peralta right there. I was in the Enderun student government in 2018, but I wasn't even the president. In my entire 5 years in Enderun, I didn't win any competition that I joined. So why me? Well, I chose it. The selection of the Enderun valedictorian is entirely unconventional. An Enderun valedictorian is not necessarily the smartest, but one with a story to tell. And here's mine. Well, my name is Chiara Aguila Halua. $20 to somebody who actually could get that right in their first spelling. No. I was born and raised in the Middle East, born to OFW parents. My childhood was in Bahrain, and my teenage years was in Dubai. It was not until I chose to pursue a higher education in hospitality that I chose to move to the Philippines. I had no immediate family, friends, or relatives nearby. My support system, my high school girls, weren't here as well. So by default, Enderun was my second home. And for 4 years, it was my only home. You know, I'd like to think I was part of the better students, but I still was never the best. It was never athletic, but I desperately wanted to be. But I loved speaking in public. You know, I used to join public speaking competitions, but I never won. I never placed first even. There was always somebody who had a much more convincing delivery than me, or somebody who just had the perfect timing. But I stayed stubborn, didn't quit, and here I am today. There are 135 Enderun students who marched into this tent today. And here we are, here I am, representing you, not your number one, but your number two to your 135 rather. Because today, we won, we finished, and today, my fellow graduates, we claim our win, the win that matters, and that whatever we had to do to get here, we did. We didn't quit. We embraced the hard, the difficult, the unexpected, and boy, what a ride it was, wasn't it? And what's the quote? Life's a journey, it's not about the destination. Well, the journey I always looked up to was my father's. We lived a simple life. He was an overseas Filipino worker who's dedicated 30 years of his life abroad to ensure that we had a roof over our heads, clothes on our back, and food on our plate. And as the youngest, I was sheltered from the brutal truths of what it was like to be an OW. The day I first took my steps to independence through my internships abroad was the day I actually understood what he went through. For the Enderun student, the internships was when we all grew up. And for many of us, it's not because it was easy. It was because it was hard. It was not necessarily the job, but it was the life that came with it. Behind the glamorous photos I took during my internship in Boston, what most of you did not know was that I was actually couch surfing for a good 3 weeks. Until, at least 100 inquiry emails later, I was able to finally secure release. You know, I'm sure I'm not the only one who was told that I was too young, I got the wrong passport, I got the wrong visa, you're too short, that they didn't know where I was from. What was worse, they did know where I was from. I mean, I'm sure we've all had our war stories. If you have one, raise your hand, please. If you don't want to acknowledge that, raise your hand. To everybody who's ever received a no for an answer, raise your hand. You know? And to everybody who's graduating regardless, raise both your hands. You know, you see, the universe has a funny way of making things up to you, even after giving every opportunity for you to give up. But you don't. I eventually did find a place to stay which was only 15 minutes away from work and required me to actually walk along the pavements of Harvard University. I mean, there are far more worse places for you to walk in, I'm just saying. And even hearing after the dreaded phrase over and over, we regret to inform you, but based on your profile and the candidates that have applied, we decided not to move with your application. We still eventually got the internship. Not necessarily the internship we wanted, but it was the internship we needed. We all know about the silver linings and the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel because we've seen the dark clouds and we've been in dark tunnels. We've all gone through the ups, downs, in-betweens, but have come out the other side with dreams and aspirations. And by the way, my internship in Boston, people did eventually find out where I was from. I was from the Philippines, Manila, from a small school from Taguig. San yun? And they learned to look up to me, and not the other way around. And as much as I learned about resilience, I learned so much more about gratitude and the condition of Filipino OFWs all around the world and the 30 years of sacrifice of my OFW father. But I think this is what sets Enderun apart, really. We befriended adversity in every way and learned to chase after every opportunity, even if it meant we had to suffer. Suffer at the hands of Chef C, Miss Marovic, Miss Bell, Chef Thomas, Sir Ray, Attorney Martolino who's here today. But as my favorite quote from the Game of Thrones, which I'd like to paraphrase, what do we say to the gods of death? Not today! Not today, indeed. Throughout the years we've stayed in Enderun, to those who listened and to those who learned, we were given the mindset of not just doing better, but being better. And our journey as Enderun has come to an end. This is where the rest of our life actually starts. This is why Enderun calls it the commencement exercises, because this is the end where it all starts. So, when we're out there and you hear, taga-Enderun ba sila? Kaya ba nila? What do we say? Syempre, kaya-kaya. And this now becomes our challenge. As alumni in our respective industries, the quality of work will have to speak for itself. The strength of our character should need no introduction. Millennials can't be focused, can't be loyal, or self-indulgent, entitled, and unreliable. But that's not us. That's not the Enderun title. We can be resilient and determined. Yes, we have passion. But there are other P words in our vocabulary. There's persistence, productivity, purpose. Purpose. We belong to the generation that could reset norms and rewrite the rules. And we're not just going to do it for ourselves. We're going to do it for each other, for those to come. How? I mean, we already know how. And we've all worked with people we never wished to work with, let's be frank. We've all given the consideration, since everybody works at their own pace, and had to carry the extra load because that one person couldn't really show up. We all waited and checked whether or not we all passed that one class that truly gave us a hard time. But we all stood for each other, and we will still stand by each other as we aspire for the yeses and as we struggle through the no's. To still pull up a Kobe as the shot clock falls out to a 0, and not give up to the possibility of a win. And to all those who brought us at this point, who taught us to embrace the struggle and gave us the courage to dream. To our esteemed professors, thank you for selflessly imparting wisdom to us in this institution, for not letting us have it easy, of giving us an insight of how life really is beyond the four corners of the classroom. To the Enderun administration, student life, career services, engineering, housekeeping, and security, thank you for welcoming us to Enderun as a second home, because it certainly was mine. And if it weren't for you, Enderun would have not had the spark it actually has. To Miss Bell, thank you for the tough love. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be standing here confidently in the podium right now. To Sir Jack, thank you for taking a chance in me. You were the first person to see the potential I actually had, and I sat in your first CT 101 class. Thank you. To my brother, I know you didn't speak at your graduation, but please know that learning through so many life lessons from you, you're somehow speaking at mine. To my mom and dad, there are not enough words to fully express my gratitude for everything you've done for me and Kuya. This win is for you, and for every OFW parent who just wished and wanted more for their children. And I'm so honored and grateful to be able to celebrate this moment with you. And finally, to my fellow graduates, I know you're hungry right now. Always remember, the only person who can stop you from achieving from what you can truly attain is yourself. You know, the sky is the langit, and only you can discover how it actually begins and how you choose it will end. And just like we all have our battles to face in our everyday lives, as future business leaders and current global citizens, we all have different journeys along the way. In fact, coming from Enderun, we can all be identified as valedictorians because we all have a story to tell, and we will continuously have a story to tell. In other words, be the episode you wait for at the end of your favorite show at the end of every week, but make sure each episode is worth watching. And as we embark on a new chapter of our unpublished books, we should not strive to be the best and have our name remembered, but instead we should strive to give our absolute best and have our work valued instead, to make things easier for those who will walk through those very doors because we open them. To take on a challenge as if it were an everyday routine, to say yes to a new day and then figure it out later. And to look adversity right in the eye without breaking a sweat and with an unbeatable smile. To tell the gods of death, not today. Be kind, be brave, be ambitious, be grateful, be a Titan, be an Enderun Titan. And I would ask my fellow Titans in this crowd to repeat after me as I say, I am. I can't hear you. I am. I am a Titan. Congratulations, class of 2019. This is Enderun